So I want to get every platinum trophy in the Yakuza or like a Dragon series. Kiwami was a good starting point as it's in the middle of the road, wasn't too hard or easy, and it's sort of the norm when it comes to 100% of these games. Since the family Kiryu's only ever known has all died, he finds someone and something else to live for, and it's Haruka, the girl he's been protecting the entire game. Yakuza 6 is the easiest so far due to the fact that I didn't need to 100% it and the legend glitch, so you don't need to go through another playthrough. Kiryu makes the ultimate sacrifice by leaving everything behind in order to protect his family and 100% never coming back. Kiwami 2 is just like Yakuza 6, I just needed to 100% the game, which should make it harder, but none of the requirements were too demanding. Kiryu dealt with another dragon that wasn't too compelling, and there was a chance of a normal life for him, but I guess there needed to be more games. Lost Judgment has a lot, but it's a doable with certain annoyances like the Amon fight and some of the school club activities. Yagami knows the system is broken, but he draws the line when it comes to murder and justifying it with revenge and guilt. So after the 100 platinum video, I was figuring out what to do with other platinum trophy videos, and when it came to the Yakuza games to see which one I would pick to 100%, Judgment immediately came to mind, but I had to take a break from it as it had beaten me, and while I should have waited a bit longer to go back to it, I really wanted to go back as I was super close to getting the platinum trophy, and it was all because of one minigame. So I'd like to take you guys back when it was 2023. July 6th is when I first started playing and got the first trophy. There are some things that were in Lost Judgment and also in Judgment as well, so I'll quickly get through two of them because there's no need to retread the same things. Drone races first initially started here. Half of them are the first 5 courses but reversed. There's parts you have to get in order to win the later races. You could experiment and test out the different parts, but since I had already gotten the platinum in Lost Judgment, then I wanted to get by the drone races relatively quick. Look up the guide by Carix. It gives you the best drone build for the last 2 or 3 courses. There's also online play, but I didn't use it, nor do I know anyone who would want to play this online. Paradise VR is a lot easier in Judgment and the best way to make money as well, but there's one caveat that makes playing Paradise VR annoying, and it's the free passes. When you first go in, the person working there will give you a free voucher pass, and you'll need this every time you want to play the minigame, unless you find the 6 free passes. These free passes allow you to freely play Paradise VR, and this is just an annoying thing to do. It seems unnecessary. 4 out of the 6 passes are easy to get. Exchange 4,400 SP at Onodora's shop, 10,000 chips at Lamont, 10,000 chips at Dragon's Palace on the 2nd floor, and 10,000 wooden tags also at Dragon's Palace but on the 3rd floor. For the 5th one, you'll need to clear the home run hell course at the batting center, which should be easy at this point since the Dragon Engine games made batting a lot easier. And the last one is completing the final drone race championship. There's no rival you have to beat, just reach the goal within the limited amount of turns you have. Pickpocketing 50 times will happen naturally. I prefer the pins because it doesn't take as long as the thumb turning versions where it takes anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds to turn and then hold, wait and then turn and hold for however long again. It feels like I have control over the pins and how much it goes up to unlock it. The quick starter projects are also a part of the useless, or not useless, but unnecessary mechanics of this franchise. It's introduced during chapter 6 and you have to fund projects, and in return you just get more EX skills, drone parts which I don't think I'll ever use, and then the darts project give you better darts which you don't need. You're just wasting money and time when a lot of these could have just been in the game. The girlfriends, or this game's version of the hostess minigame, is just like the hostess minigame and didn't come back in Lost Judgment because it's boring just like the other various versions of the hostess minigame. The only good thing about it was there being only 4 girlfriends you had to go through. Most minigames are still the game or have been improved upon. I want to mention 2 that stand out. Aside from the name, it's basically normal Mahjong with different rules and ways of winning, and I didn't spend too much time in it because cheat items were allowed and I could get as many as I can at Onodora's wares, saving myself the usual frustrations and hours of waiting for just one tile for completion. And the second one is pinball that's only available at Yagami Agency, and it plays like a pinball. Nothing about it is challenging and you only need to play it 10 times for completion. And then there are missable trophies. There are a few Yakuza games that have missable trophies, and Judgment is one of those games. As long as you have backup saves for chapters 2, 5, 7, 8, 12, and the finale, it's not that bad, aside from one, because there's always one. The cat trophy requires you to find all 14 stray cats throughout the entire game whenever you're in that investigation mode. I don't like missable trophies, but at least make it convenient. I have to go out of my way to look for these cats or look up the trophy guide on PSN profiles, examine that cat multiple times just to be safe. Doubling the chips during chapter 2 is easy. Make a backup save, play blackjack, bet the max amount, and if you don't win, then reload the save and eventually you should win. During the flashbacks in chapter 5, fully investigating Terasawa means to look at her face, chest, and posterior. Do this before investigating the room for clues. The Art of Conversation wants you to choose the correct dialogue choices when you're playing as Sayuri in chapter 7. Just like the cat trophy, look at the guide for the correct ones. I wanted to enjoy the time I got to play as Sayuri and not guessing which dialogue was right. I got professional password presenter without looking at the guide because as long as you're paying attention to the lady in blue, go to the door at the champion district and the 3 passwords are 3 times, can I talk to Moon, and Shadow Brion Blue. Hunger is also another one I got on my first time in chapter 12. As long as you're rushing to save Sugera with less than 10 seconds left, then this is easy. And then the last one is the final nail, presenting the right evidence to the judge on the first time. This meant that I did not want to do this by trial and error and used the guide. Friendships are a quest with green diamonds as its icon. Aside from more quests to complete, some good rewards, having a better reputation for more side cases and extra EX actions, these aren't anything too special. All of them have multiple progressions until you've completed the friendship. I'm only going through the ones I think are useful. Onodera is super useful as you get to spend your SP in a shop, get that 9 gates tile cheat item for Mahjong, restock a medkits. The game gives you reasons to go to him, so having him as a friendship makes sense. Takeo Inose is at Wild Jackson and you'll inspire him to create the wild special burger by constantly eating there, give him ideas. The important part is getting 30,000 yen at the end of the quest. Yoshida is at the batting center and this gives you the free pass for Paradise VR and so by default this is essential. Suji Hatano is sitting in the benches inside of the batting center and he gives you the batting gloves for 3,000 yen and the golden bat for 30,000 yen. Just buy these to make batting easier for you. Rie Tomioka is the landlady for Yagami Detective Agency and she's important just for one trophy. The Pay Your Rent Yagami trophy wants you to eat all of her home-cooked meals. Eat at Smileburger to max out her friendship and then you'll continually get her meals. There are 5 meals you have to eat: hamburg steak, omuraisu, meat and potato stew, beef steak, and fried shrimp. Kim Won-soon is only important for Beef Zone to be open. I thought my game was glitched when I couldn't get into Beef Zone when eating all restaurants, but in chapter 8 you can talk to him and improve his business, then the game allows you to eat at Beef Zone. Masakazu Nikumiya is a stray cat lover and wants Yagami to take pictures of them, and by the end, your reward is 30,000 yen, which is easy money to make, especially in chapter 2 when it's available. The Calico cat is right outside of Yagami Detective Agency. Once you walk out, turn left and then another left, and it's right there with the arrow hanging over its head. The Tabby cat is in Little Asia. Climb over the wall and use your drone to take the picture. And then the black cat is at the Pink Street entrance. There's a lady with the message bubble, and once you talk to her, then you can take the last picture. There's a story surrounding how you shoe in a dine and dash situation, but all that matters is the skill book that you get, and it's the bottomless stomach, which allows you to eat as much as you want, making eating at every restaurant easier for completion. Kenji Tanaka is basically Mr. Try and Hit Me from the other games. RGG turned it into a friendship quest. There's 2 sessions and you get 50,000 yen each for hitting him. Shun Isaka is here for an easy 80k yen in total after 2 chase sessions. Getting this to trigger is the more interesting part. In chapter 10, get in a fight and don't do anything. Eventually you'll hear police sirens and cops will come after you. I didn't realize this was possible or a thing to force cops out and get them to chase you. Evade the cops and then Isaka will pop up and he'll ask you to chase him. 30k yen for the first one, and then the second time will be for 50k. And the Art of the Thunder Fist skill book, which I forgot what it does, but you also get that as well. And the last one I wanted to mention is Kazufumi Kamaguchi. His friendship is tied to the KN gang and he'll give you 150k yen each, turning in Honda and Kasai. I enjoyed more of the side cases here than Lost Judgment. A lot of them were intriguing to me and a good chunk of them were tied to the school stuff. Most of them here were Yagami trying to solve a mystery, which meant it got repetitive, but there's still a good amount I wanted to mention. There are 5 ways of acquiring side cases: the bulletin board at Yagami Detective Agency, speaking to Sayuri at Genda Law Office, bartender, side cases icons show up around Kamurocho, and 9 of them by default occur due to story progression. Kamurocho's Mad Bomber is a part of a trilogy of side cases. There are 6 of these trilogy side cases. This one kept my interest the whole time. It starts out with an explosion, a bomb will just go off and you'll hear another one, then the bomber will call you and says there's one more bomb and you'll have to disarm it. I'm not gonna lie, I was not going to spend time looking for it, so I looked up a video of where to find it for not only this bomb but the other ones as well. The hook of this one got me wondering who the hell is putting bombs around Kamurocho? The Mad Bomber Strikes Again is part 2 and he calls you again to find another bomb and also gives a reason why he's doing this. He mentions paying for taxes for a really bad security system and he's proven it by placing bombs and putting innocent people in danger, and he's also enjoying the fact that someone like Yagami would put his life in danger to save others, sort of proving the failure in the system and proving himself wrong because no matter how bad or corrupt the system may be, someone will always be looking out for the city. And then finally, the return of the Mad Bomber is the final part, and the one behind these bombs is a convenience store clerk who got fired by a security firm because they didn't see his worth in his revamped system, and so these bombs were him lashing out. Yagami asks for Tsukumo's help because he's good at finding people, and it ends with you defeating this guy. You understood this guy's reason why he did what he did, but he just sort of went about it the wrong way. The ghost tenant started out as a ghost story where this guy claims there was a ghost in his new apartment. This ghost looked like the little girl from The Ring, but after closer inspection, the quote-unquote ghost turns out to be the guy's girlfriend. Her reason for scaring him was because they could find a cheaper place, and rather than getting mad, the guy embraces her due to how much they love each other, which I enjoy the swerve and then it turning into a, I guess, wholesome or something good for the couple. The Devil Wife, on the surface, seems like a simple case. A woman named Kiriko is weirdly having her husbands dying and her current husband has had some very close calls. So the mother of the son wants you to investigate her and she seems like a normal person, not capable of harming anyone. It eventually leads to the real issue being the employee you were talking to. He has this crush on her and was the one killing her past husbands so that he can have her all to himself, but never had the courage to actually ask her out. It's understandable why the mother would reach out to Yagami. Her past actions and reputation indicate a pattern, but it turned out to be a delusional person that ruined her reputation for a selfish reason. Amidst a Dream gives you the option to either ruin Sana's dream or encourage her to pursue her dreams despite what she went through. You'll meet her at the theater square. She'll mention her producer Saito. He seems normal until Sana mentions she would have to do something dirty so she can progress in the industry. And so you tell Saito and hear that he and this other guy will seek out young and naive girls that have dreams of making it big and they use them for personal and disgusting behaviors. Sana gets kidnapped and I certainly had to look up this part. Go to the case file inventory to find Saito's business card which has his address on it. After beating a bunch of dudes up, I was given a choice: tell Sana to give up on her dreams or keep being an artist. I chose to encourage and continue to follow her dreams because this was just one incident she was taken advantage of, and next time she can be careful, and it also shouldn't discourage her from following her dreams as well. Secrets of Cats plays out like a heist film. There are 2 groups that are looking for this cat because it knows where the boss's fortunes are at. Yagami's there to be in the middle and make sure no one gets hurt. There's even a drone battle at one point which were always fun and wish they were more accessible because as far as I know, drone battles can only be played during Paradise VR unless there's a 2-player option for minigames at the start menu. But then it turns out all this was a waste of time as the answer was in plain sight. The collar on the cat was the fortune. Interview with a Detective is a clear nod to the vampire movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, which I've never seen, but this side case is just fun. There's a guy who isn't the best when it comes to dealing with the media, along with a recent incident or a ton of mistakes he's made that makes him look awful. So Yagami's here to play him to throw off the bad press, and apparently dressing up as Dracula will make it better, I guess. Someone at RGG, or maybe a good amount of the team, just really liked Dracula and needed some way to incorporate it in the game. Either way, seeing Yagami dress up as Dracula made this side case stand out, and the way you get away from the press is switching from Dracula to normal clothes. I just find it funny none of them saw Yagami walk behind a wall and then just all of a sudden come out as himself. After this, the guy realizes his wrongs and will atone for his past mistakes rather than trying to hide and ignore it. Entrapment is a scam side story, and unlike the scam sub-stories from Kiwami 1, I thought this one was leagues better than any of them because Yagami got his revenge, and Kiryu did get his revenge, but Yagami gotta really rub it in this lady's face. A guy drags you into a bar because he and his wife need customers, and she charges you 100k for one drink, and you're trying to find ways to get out of the situation, but you gotta pay 100k yen. It would then bring you to a tailing section, and before paying, the couple were having issues with each other. He wants the business to thrive while his wife is wasting time and money on hostess clubs. Once you caught her red-handed and have the leverage against her, she gives you back the money and her husband comes right in to see her awful addiction. Onomicho is back again and the Onomicho Bandit. This one is a whodunit, and rather than someone dying, you have to solve who stole the Onomicho suit. It leads into the arcade place, and like with the investigation trophies tied to getting the correct evidence, I didn't take any chances and looked up the answers. Kaneda was the one who stole the suit. He needed the money to pay off his debt, and the twists and turns is also why I like this side case as well. The recent hired employee was the red herring, and then the debt collector was also there to collect his money, and despite how much this isn't really an issue in the grand scheme of things, they play this straight and it's great. A final request is of course the Amon fight with Shinamon, and it's pretty much like the other fights. The one annoying thing he does is steal your phone, and I could have just continued the fight, but I have all my health and items in there, and so anytime he stole my phone, I reset back to my last save. I've also realized that maybe I don't like these Amon fights. Unless I know there's an ability that can easily defeat them or have more on a certain game, I don't look forward to them anymore, and at this point it feels more like a chore. Alright, PuyoPuyo is a playable minigame in Judgment, and what makes it stand out is the fact that it's difficult to 100% this one. It requires you to beat all 10 rivals, but the game doesn't tell you the final rival doesn't appear until getting around 30 wins. Each round gets harder and faster than the previous one. PuyoPuyo is pretty much Tetris, but rather than colored blocks, there are these characters as the shapes. I went in thinking, alright, this is like Tetris and only 10 rivals, I got this no problem. The first 5 or some rounds are easy, but then I failed around the 15 to 17 round, which was fine because that was my first try, and there's no way I was getting it on my first try. But then as I played more, my optimism slowly went away and I became more angry and frustrated. I just could not get to 30 wins. I even dedicated an entire day to play different characters to see if it would help, looked up guides to see if anyone found a strategy, and it seemed that others were also running into the same issue. So after an entire day of failure after failure, I gave up and the game had beaten me. Five months went by, and I had gotten other platinum trophies in other games, got around to reaching 100 platinum trophies. Then in December, I decided to go back to Judgment and give PuyoPuyo a try to see if I could beat the final rival. And so I started playing, and it started off the same, just failing after failing. But then I wish I knew how to use the live stream feature on the PS4 to document this, but by pure chance, I had beaten the final rival and didn't even notice because I was mindlessly playing. As long as I didn't pay attention to the rounds, then I would just hope I would reach the final rival, and it miraculously gave me the final rival at around round 25. I saved immediately, and everything after this was going to be easy. This minigame was the only thing preventing me from achieving the platinum trophy. And maybe I could have just stuck around with it, because if I just came back in December and played like, I don't know, I think around the 5-6 hour mark, I got it just by pure chance. I think I would have gotten it back in like July or August, honestly, but now the platinum trophy is in arm's reach. Legend difficulty isn't that difficult as long as you know what moves hits you the hardest and have a ton of health items. Buy all the food from the convenience stores. By the time you go into legend difficulty, you should have a lot of money saved up from Paradise VR and other friendships and side cases. Tailing missions were a cool thing. Following a person and making sure you're incognito so you don't get caught makes sense when you're playing a detective trying to solve mysteries. However, the novelty kind of goes away on replay, and I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but if you fail a tailing mission, rather than a menu showing up and giving you the option to retry the mission, it will take you back to the start menu as the Sega logo sound and logo pops up again. This just wasted time. Like, I don't know why this was even a thing. Another mechanic that's more of an inconvenience is mortal wounds. rewards. I get that Yagami is a normal dude, nor is he a Yakuza member, even though he's very close to being one with certain people he's associated with, but permanently taking away Yagami's health whenever an enemy or boss uses their special move or whatever it is not what I want to worry about. Onodor's wares has the medikits that will bring back your health, and I get the argument that this makes you a better player. You're not just spamming the same moves, but it's sort of like having to worry about real life or realism in video games. I didn't play this game to think about real life, I just want to escape from it, so not a big fan of this. And lastly, the threat levels or KN gang. There's this threat number, and when it reaches a certain point, Kim will text you and the leaders will appear around Kamurocho, and they do go away, but if I wanted to go somewhere and avoid a fight, I would have to go around it, and just like the tailing missions, after trying it for the first time, I didn't want to deal with it anymore. But that 300k yen reward is worth it for the friendship quest, so I'm glad they took out this and the mortal wounds and a lot of the tailing missions, because while they're cool ideas, it sort of hinders my enjoyment of replaying this game over and over again, because if there wasn't any of those like tailing missions for the main story, then hell yeah, I would replay this game. I had an entirely different plan when it came to the EX actions. I was going to talk about my favorite EX actions by horribly explaining them, but rather than do that, why don't I just show you guys my favorite EX actions with a good and catchy song from the game. The story obviously plays out like a mystery in whodunit. You're trying to figure out who the mole is and why is this person killing people with their eyes taken out. It does a good job at revealing things at the right moment so that it's not boring or nothing that's happening between the first and last chapter. What could have been a small scale murder mystery turned into something much bigger and got the Okubo case involved as well. And there's a part of me that thinks maybe it should have been a much smaller story, but I didn't mind the involvement of the other stories. Yagami started out as a defense attorney and believed in the system to carry out justice, but when Okubo killed Emi when he was just cleared of being accused of murder, it ruins Yagami's reputation, and so the entire game is him redeeming himself while also serving justice his way, as believing in the system isn't the way to go. Characters will taunt him about how he defended a murderer, and this immediately makes Yagami a protagonist you want to root for and prove to everyone that he was right the first time, especially when more evidence comes out and starts seeing how awful Okubo looks every time you visit him. The system just failed him. Even if what he's trying to achieve is idealistic, like any other protagonist, he wants to do the right thing, and at any moment multiple situations will test him to see if he can stick to his way of justice. Kaito is a former Yakuza, and I guess you couldn't have some sort of Yakuza stuff, but Kaito aligns himself with Yagami because he gave him a purpose to do something good. Being in the Matsugani family gave him something to do, and when he was being kicked out for something he didn't really do, Yagami came in to save him from cutting off his own finger, and rather than going down the path of dying too soon, Yagami gave him a better purpose, so he owes him his life. Kaito had a sworn brother named Higashi, and he's a bit of a tragic character. He feels guilty for Kaito getting kicked out as he was there and could have stopped the person robbing the place, but instead he froze, let Kaito get knocked out, and the robber got away. He clearly isn't meant to be in the Yakuza world, but got himself in this situation. Later on, Hamura finds the robber and forces Higashi to kill the guy. Once the shot goes off, he wasn't really quite the same anymore. The Yakuza world had forced him to come off as another Yakuza member who was in line with the family, but he and Kaito talk to each other later on, and he's still worth redeeming. He doesn't want to stay, but he's got nowhere left to go, and thankfully both Yagami and Kaito were still around so that they could sort of keep him in check. Sayuri is very quiet, likes keeping to herself, which is why her section of the game where you're playing as her stood out so much. She got out from her comfort zone, and she did a damn good job at getting information. Like with any of the characters at Ginda Law Office, she has her drive to serve justice, and it's wanting to protect the weak, people that are defenseless or just minding their own business and somehow got dragged into something they didn't even want to be in. Sayuri knew Mafayu back in high school and were able to reconnect as adults. She's the connection on how Mafayu and Yagami met, and they clearly were into each other, but after Okubo, Yagami needed some time alone. Aside from being there for Hamura and Ayabe's trial, I don't really remember anything else she does. You have to see her at one point, but I don't have much to really say about her. Even when it was brought up they had a thing, I didn't want to deal with that and have it taken away from the mystery stuff. Hoshino also works at Genda Law, and he's a part of the mystery gang when he wants to join them because of Shitani, who's not really a redeeming character. He was envious of Yagami and hid very important information about the mole, which is what got him killed, and so in terms of feeling any sort of sympathy for him, I've got none. But using his death to motivate Hoshino to get involved was a great choice, as it gave him something to do. Shows how good of a person he is and trying to keep it a secret from Genda, and Sayuri was funny, along with his crush on her as well, which turned into a fun story as well. Genda's the voice of reason and their father figure to everyone. Whenever Yagami is in doubt or is planning on doing something he shouldn't be doing, Genda talks and brings him back so he's not regretting his choice. He's also tired of seeing his people die. Shitani died, Yagami went away for a while, which meant no one was really talking to each other. He wants that family dynamic back when everyone was happier and no murderer was on the loose. Sugiura is the first introduced as a masked person running around the city causing chaos, but then slowly makes his way towards Yagami to let him know that he'll help. This immediately gets you guessing on who he is and why he's helping. He eventually takes off his mask, showing the trust he has with the mystery gang. It's then revealed he's actually Emi's sister. He wanted to see if Yagami was the person he said he was and didn't just give up on finding the real killer. And then once he confirmed that, he then can show himself, and Yagami's also there to keep him in check in case he goes overboard on killing the people who knew and were responsible for Emi's death. He could have easily gone the revenge route, but with the time he spends with the gang, he's able to restrain himself. Hamura is very important as he knows everything about the mole and the ADDC. They came to him with a lot of money not to only keep his mouth shut, but throw the bodies that were being experimented on, and he doesn't fully understand why they want him to just throw out bodies, but he accepts the offer because of the money. He wants to make the Yakuza work or his family a household name, and with this money, he has financial influence which makes Matsugame's influence go away as well. Hamura sees him running the family into the ground and he'll stand up and see if he can handle it, which means doing anything good or mainly bad to make it work. He's not a likable character, but he needs to be alive for the trial and helping Yagami solve the mole case. He was also the one who set up Kaito getting expelled because Kaito's power and influence was a threat to his position. All it took to convince him to open his mouth was obviously a beatdown by Yagami, but the inciting incident was Matsugane getting shot by the mole. Despite wanting to take over the family, there was still some respect there, and after his death, he'll gladly go to the trial. Matsugane had all the influence, but after Hamura's money and just getting old, he doesn't have it in him anymore. He may come off as a traditional Yakuza, but there's a flashback that shows Yagami meeting him 20 years ago, and he could have killed him, but let him go because he's a good person at the end of the day, and even raised Yagami and Kaito to be like his own sons. He doesn't want Yagami going after Hamura, but still does, and so when the time was right, he wanted to do something to help, and it was sacrificing himself. Ayabe's the scapegoat. The mole needs someone to blame for the murders, and Ayabe is just known as this dirty cop, meaning he'll give out info for money or whatever he wants, and it's an easy way out for the mole. Halfway through the game, it's revealed his gun was the one that killed Shitani. Obviously a red herring, because why would he be giving info to Yagami only to be the culprit unless he enjoys stringing along people for his BS? I also don't necessarily care about him. I had to remind myself that he even existed. He's a jaded cop willing to do dirty work, and that's all he did. Aside from defending him in trial, there's no follow-up on other things he does. Kuroiwa is the mole. Replaying the game on Legend, I was looking out for any clues that may have alluded to him, because when I first played this game, he was nowhere on my list of people being the mole. He always taunted Yagami for failing the Okubo case and thought that's all he was. When you're in front of the tender bar, after he walks away, the mysterious assassin comes to kill you, meaning he wanted Yagami gone because he was getting to the truth. He came in when you and Hoshino were questioning Kido to save his ass and keeping the 89 a secret, and obviously these things only become apparent in hindsight. Despite being a detective and making Kamurocho a better place, he's also a murderer himself and has a twisted way to justify the murders. He's the one that does all the dirty work for ADDC and enjoys killing a bit too much, and he agrees with this cure because of money. According to everyone involved and okay with this, 89 will make them rich because it can cure Alzheimer's disease. So this came from a good place, but sometimes these things are too good to be true. Shono is the main guy creating 89, and he sort of didn't mention that it has side effects like a person's eyes bleeding out. They use multiple people for experiments, but the incident that involved Okubo occurred at the hospital. Shono injected an older patient to see the reaction. He wasn't expecting death, and so he had to think quickly on what to do, framed Okubo and killed Emi in case she digs further into what actually happened, and ensured to hide the truth about 89. Kido also told the public about 89 too early, saying how it's to be put on shelves, only to find out by Shono it wasn't ready. Even people with power are behind this because of personal experiences. The chief prosecutor, Kunihiko Morita, lets this slide because his mom and dad had Alzheimer's disease, and since there was no cure at the time, he just watched them slowly deteriorate. He knows Kuroiwa and Shono aren't doing the best thing morally, but wants to believe in 89 so bad. Yagami and his mystery gang in the end stopped a murderer who had a twisted view on the world, erased and cleared Yagami's reputation so he isn't mocked or known for defending a murderer, clearing Okubo of the accusations, and stopped the ADDC, specifically Shono and his mad experiments, making Kamurocho a much safer place. The game knew when to throw in its twists and turns, and none of it felt weird or out of place, except for the one time where Hamura was in the mole costume, but that was just to get Yagami to chase him to give some evidence. I thought for a second the game was trying to tell me Hamura was the mole the entire time. And that is it for Judgment. Would I recommend going for the Platinum? No to this and honestly all other Yakuza games with the exception of one game. Just don't do it and save your time. I do recommend still playing Judgment. This wasn't the first time RGG went off to develop a spin-off, but I thought it was a bit of a risk at the time to not include any known characters that people would love to have their own game. They could have easily had a spin-off with a popular character. They continue to improve on what they've already established since their first game, and now with the Dragon Engine, which I think Judgment Judgment would make it their third game to develop in, I think. They can have things like destroying some of the stores, no loading for certain parts, better transitions to battle and dynamic intros. The tailing and investigation parts were a fun novelty, but aren't great whenever you want to replay the game. I did not like the run or not run during battle. I wish it would have automatically put Yagami in a running state or not have it, so I don't have to worry about that, because there were a bunch of times I ran on accident or didn't want to. So in terms of the game needing to serve a great experience for players, it delivers on that.